Wow. It's been pretty crazy, wouldn't you say? Holy cow. Whew. FYI, I can't find my pop filter for my mic tonight, so if there's some pops on my P's, that's just how it's going to be. It's been a while since we've talked, and I'm not exactly sure where to start. I should tell you that my birthday was December 21st, so it was a few weeks ago, and that night, leading up to midnight, I was laying in bed and got overwhelmed with a lot of different things as I was just reflecting on life and things like that, and decided at about, I don't know, 10:30 or so at night to come make a video. And I did, and it was about 35 minutes long. And at the time, I was locked out of my YouTube, my backup YouTube, which is this one. My main YouTube, for those of you that don't know, went away about a month ago, about 60,000 subscribers. My Twitter went away, and my Facebook went away, all within an hour of each other. I believe it was on December 9th or so. But I did make a video on December 20th, and because I didn't have YouTube, I was going to put it on my BitChute, and BitChute wouldn't allow me to do that either, and it was a really good video, so I still have it. I may try to re-upload it. I think it's still timely. I think it's still very timely, actually, but something with what I'm saying in that video is not even being allowed by BitChute. What happened is I uploaded it to BitChute. I never got any warnings. I never got anything. It just sat in a processing stage for 24 hours. And I canceled it out. Finally, after waiting 24 hours, tried it again. It did the same thing. As a test, I tried to upload a nonsense video just to see if that would go up, and it did right away. So don't trust BitChute either. It seems to be my experience right now. I don't trust anything right now. It's all lies. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. This is really complicated time. And I highly doubt that I'm going to have the words to navigate anybody through it, because I'm trying to navigate through it myself. The most important thing that I think we all need to understand, and I haven't seen talked about much at all because of all of the chaos, we went through a major transition on December 21st. The winter solstice. And that transition, I strongly believe, through a lot of research, was a transition from the Piscean age into the age of Aquarius. And you might right off the bat say, oh, what are you talking, New Age stuff? No, the New Age is what hijacked the truths and realities of what God put for us in the sky, and for us to understand as different wandering stars and stars converge, it means different things on the sky clock. And people have understood that for all of history until now, or so they tell us anyway. But the age transition is a very real thing. And if you started following me back in the beginning in March, when I came out with my Mark of the Beast article and video, I mentioned in there the transition from dark to light, and I also mentioned in there the transition from the Piscean age into the age of Aquarius. I didn't talk much about it on my channel because I wasn't sure exactly when it was going to happen, but through the course of the last 6 to 7 months, it became very, very obvious to me that December 21st, 2020, when the Great Conjunction happened. If you remember the Great Conjunction, it happened on December 21st. Now, where I live, it was too cloudy and I couldn't see anything. I never saw it. But this was basically, it's the same thing as the Star of Bethlehem that happened 2,000 years ago when, as they say, Saturn and Jupiter converge in the sky. I'm sure you heard about it. It wasn't just a one-night phenomenon in the sky. It's very rare, extremely rare. They say the last time, I think, was 800 years ago, but I don't know. Who knows about all of that? The history they tell us, who knows anymore? But according to the Bible, it happened the time that Jesus was born. And I believe that was the transition from one age to another. That was the transition into the Piscean age that we just left. Ages last, according to what people have researched, seem to be around 2,000 years each. And this new age that we've just entered goes along the lines of everything that I've talked about, especially in the Mark of the Beast article and video with this transition, because the age of Aquarius is an age of power to the people, an age of enlightenment, an age of no more heavy-handed government control. And what we're seeing right now, I really believe, is that old system, the remnants of that old system dying off. But as they die off, they're also panicking, and they're throwing every single trick in the book at us to try to hold on to something that's already gone, that left on December 21st. I strongly believe this. And it is in line with Scripture, and it is in line with God's Word. I think we've made the mistake throughout history in Christianity to discount what we call astrology and consider it a work of the enemy. But in reality, it's just another thing that God created that the enemy hijacked. And a change of ages, I mean, the fact that we're alive to experience it is unbelievable, but it's also horrible to live through, because these changes of the frequencies of the world and the way they impact us are severe on a day-to-day basis. And one day you might wake up feeling fine, feeling great, feeling hopeful. The next day you might wake up feeling like you don't have a thing to live for. And the day after that, you might wake up feeling so garbled in the head that you can't even quite find or figure out what's real. And then you try to turn on the TV or something to try to get grounded, and then it just makes it worse. A lot worse. I literally just said to my girlfriend, I can't watch anything anymore. I can't watch anything right now with everything that's happened in the last few days. Even the old YouTubers that I've followed for 5 or 6 years, I'm like, I don't think you're getting it. I don't think you're understanding what's happening. And I'm not claiming to be special at all. I could be completely wrong. And if I am, if I've been wrong about everything I've said, I'll let you know. But I don't think I am. There's some major stuff that's about to go down. And I remember back in, was it 2018 or 2017, when Trump famously proclaimed it was the calm before the storm. And they said, Mr. President, what do you mean by that? He said, you'll see. Well, we've been living through quite a storm this last year. Isn't that true? But it hasn't concluded yet. And people think that it concluded with what they call a Trump concession speech. Was it last night? I don't know. I've lost track of my days. A day is like an hour, and an hour is like a day to me right now. But I think it was last night. It wasn't a concession speech. It wasn't at all. And he's got a very solid plan that he's about to engage. And it's going to shake, I believe, if this happens the way I see it, it's going to shake the world to its core. And that's what needs to happen to make this transition. And see, the enemy is trying to direct humanity through the transition outside of God. God has a very different plan for us. But the enemy, just like the enemy hijacked this last age and turned it into a nightmare for everybody on earth through their authoritarian control tactics, they understand what the age of Aquarius actually is about. And so they need to transition the way they rule to try to keep ahead of it. and to try to keep us under control within it. And I really believe that's what's happening. And I've said this 100 times on my channel, and take what I say as opinion, right? Let's take it as opinion. I say that for YouTube because I've already lost tens of thousands of subscribers. I say that for, whatever, whoever's listening to me. Take it as opinion. But if it resonates with your heart and in prayer, then take it as you will. But as they try to co-opt, is that the right word? Co-opt this planned transition that God created, they have to create hope in us. And I think for a lot of people in the last 4 or 5 years, Donald Trump has created immense amounts of hope, or some call it hopium, but there's no doubt in my mind that he created hope because he won that election. And I can't imagine, I shouldn't have said that. But you know what I mean. Like, I think he did. That's my opinion. By a lot. I think he won by a lot, in my opinion, but I could be wrong. Joe Biden could have gotten 80 million votes. Who knows? It's all a stage, man. Do you remember the first man that got the coronavirus vaccine in the UK? You know what his name was? Do you remember? That was so long ago now, but I remember because it's what got taken me off of all social media platforms when I tweeted this and put this on YouTube and put this on Facebook. The first man to take the coronavirus vaccine in the world. There was a woman before him, but it was the first man. It was in the UK. His name was William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare. And they had to make sure to publish that for us. William Shakespeare is the one that said, all the world's the stage, and all its players are merely actors. All the world, not some. He was the first one to take the coronavirus vaccine. First man. And when I saw that back whatever day that was, when I lost all of my channels, I posted it and I put it together immediately in my mind with the article I wrote back in March about Saint Germain on my website, avoidthemark.com, which is still up and getting tons of traffic like never before, actually. Just a few days ago, some major Twitter user, major Twitter user, shared my website, and I got about 40,000 people within a couple of hours. And it's insane. Like, the information is still relevant, but I think with what the media is shoving down our throats right now, it's probably people are going to say, well, I think that didn't work out, Travis. I think it didn't work out the way you thought it would. It's not over. These next 13 days, what is today? The 8th? 12 days, whatever it is now, until the 20th. It's going to be crazy. It's not over. It's not even close. It's going to bend our minds. Even those of us who like to think we're the most awake and that we see the most things and that we know what's coming. The truth is, only God knows exactly what's coming. They've made their plays. We've made our plays. And although the actual grand conjunction happened on December 21st, it didn't manifest until now in the physical, in humanity. And I strongly believe that the physical grand conjunction of humanity is going to happen in the next 12 days. I know it sounds crazy. I've been trying to tell some of my friends, a couple of very, very close friends that I've had for years, and one of them said, and none of my friends know anything that I've done as far as my channel and the things that I put out there and the things that I believe. I don't really talk to them much about it. One of my friends is a very extreme left-wing BLM supporter, big time. I told her on a high level last night or the night before about my theory about this transition and everything that's happening. And she said, Travis, I think you nailed it. I think you're right. I think that's what's happening. That's the first thing I've heard through all of this that makes any sense. So I think Trump's not done. Could be wrong, but I think Trump's not done. And I think the next thing that we may see, and that may change just by people putting it out there or speculating, what I've learned through the last year is that there's certain plans that they have for us, right? There's certain things they want to do. But when we get smart and we start pointing them out and saying, this might happen on this day, and I have evidence that this is leading to this on this day, they simply don't do it. They adjust. Like, I genuinely believe 2 days ago that Capitol building was supposed to be literally destroyed. And that was the plan. And the reason I think that is because I listened to the speeches that the senators and congressmen gave afterwards about the Pearl Harbor moment and all this other stuff, and the way the news is, and it was all the news is covering it, and it's all obviously so prescripted. The Biden speech was not recorded. I mean, it was recorded days before. Clearly, who knows how long it took him to get all of his words to come together like that. My point is that I think that the next time we hear from Donald J. Trump in a real way, with a red tie, it's always important, is going to be on the emergency broadcast system. And I know this is going to sound conspiratorial, but I really think it's going to, I think that Trump, although an actor, is part of a huge play, the greatest story on this earth. And most of us who know what's going on know that our government is incredibly corrupt and has been forever, right? And we know very, very evil things happen, extremely evil things, unthinkable things that they do. I think that what happened a few days ago was Trump's last move to divide, in his mind, the wheat from the chaff, and see where he really stood. And now he knows. And now he knows what he calls the swamp is pretty much everything in the government. But he's got it. I think he's got the information. He's been president of the United States. He's a billionaire. And for some reason, they've never been able to take him down for 4 years. They've tried and tried and tried, or so they've showed us. And they never had any conclusive evidence on anything of Trump that they could use to say, oust him. And if they could have, they would have, because you have to remember what people call the deep state or the cabal or all these people. These are the people that have ruled under the Piscean Age through this authoritarian rule. They don't want to let that go. But as a YouTuber I follow, is really, really good. I'll link his channel. He's really interesting. I don't know that he's a Christian per se, but he has a good pulse on what's going on in the world. And as he would say, you can't stop the sky clock, he calls it. And the people in power, they know the sky clock. They know the transfer of age. But at the same time, they don't want to let control go. They don't want to let power go. And so they've been trying to destroy Trump, but Trump is really just a lightning rod for this transition of ages. And so when Trump says there will be a peaceful transition, I believe it has nothing to do with Joe Biden. In a traditional way, as we would imagine a sitting president to say, I will, aid in a peaceful transition of power. never before has there been a quote unquote concession speech where the opponent was not named. And if you listen to Trump's concession speech, it's not a concession speech at all. The transition of power, I really believe, is going to be Trump exposing the cabal fully. And I think he's going to use the emergency broadcast system to do it. And it makes sense because it's like he seems like he is a step ahead of these idiots who only have this one playbook of totalitarian control and brainwashing. It's like they're very left-brained people. They're not creative. They can't come up with new ideas. So they stick with the ideas that have worked, right? And Trump is very right-brained. He's a creative type. And so he's a step ahead of him all the time. And so my girlfriend a few days ago geniusly said, he's going to use the emergency broadcast system. And I was like, what? I never thought of that. Really? Like, fully. And then I saw today an article, and it's easy to find. There's several different sources. Literally just today, or actually yesterday, the FCC issued an emergency broadcast system enforcement advisory. It reminds broadcasters and other participants of their responsibilities during an emergency broadcast. Is that just random? Did that just happen on its own? Or is that tied to what we're about to see? I remember the movie. I'm sure you've seen it. It's one of my favorites because there's just some funny parts to it, but it's called The Wolf of Wall Street. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio. And me and my girlfriend used to like to watch it once in a while and just have some good laughs because it's a funny movie. But the part where whatever character Leonardo DiCaprio is playing, he runs a very corrupt investment company, extremely corrupt, but makes a ton of money doing it. And towards the end, he gets busted. He gets kind of exposed as to what he's been doing and how he's been swindling people out of millions of dollars. And so the government comes after him to prosecute him, and he decides, well, in order to save myself, I'm going to take a deal and I'll quit and I'll leave. And so he goes through that whole process, and eventually he's standing in front of the people that work for him, that he's made a lot of them millionaires, granted through deceptive ways, but they all love him because he's made them millionaires as investment advisors. And he's giving his concession speech saying, I'm leaving, and halfway through it changes his mind. He says, I ain't leaving. I'm not leaving. And they all start to celebrate and blah, blah, blah. And the story is he ends up spending time in jail anyway, and it made it worse for him. But I really, when I first saw what I thought was a concession speech, the first thing I thought was Wolf of Wall Street. I ain't leaving, and I don't think he will. I could be wrong. This could be all one show that just led up to this, but it doesn't make sense to me because the resolution to that would be a Joe Biden presidency and most likely communist takeover of the world. And that makes no sense at all in the new age that we just entered. In fact, the new age is the opposite of all of that. So I don't think it's going to happen. But then again, these ages are so long, 2,000 years. They say that when you crank down the spin of one and then fire up the spin in the reverse direction of the next, it takes a while for that wheel to get rolling. So we may need to live through some extremely hard times under communism in the next 3.5 or so years, or in the next 12 days, starting tomorrow, we might see something that even our own eyes won't believe or be able to comprehend. And I tend to think it's the latter. But we have to be on guard, because remember, no matter how good something of this earth sounds, it is still of this earth. And we serve but one God, Yahweh, the Almighty, the Creator. We do not serve a person, a Donald Trump. Donald Trump is nothing, like I said, he's a lightning rod. It's a figurehead of this new age, of the new awakening that humanity has been going through, and that the old age has been trying to squash, but they don't know how to because they don't understand it, and now their age is over. So I guess what's really important for us to remember right now is all the spew coming out of the media in the moment. Ignore it. Every word is a lie. Every word. Left-wing news, right-wing news, middle-of-the-road news, the Tim Pools of the world. I've listened to them all. They're all lying. Or don't quite see, I think, what's actually happening. And I think they're as confused as a lot of us are. And I'm not claiming I got all the answers at all. I'm telling you what I feel in my spirit, and what I've learned over the last 5 years from a lot of study and a lot of thought and a lot of reflection, and mostly prayer. God is preparing us for something major, earth-shaking major. And we need to be grounded as we go through this. And I can tell you, for the last few days, I haven't been grounded. I've been all over the place in my head. I've been confused. I've felt like everything I've said, maybe it was wrong. Everything that I believed was wrong. And God keeps telling me, it's not over, Travis. But these frequency changes in the world and the way things are, you have to understand the importance of frequency and human will and human emotion. And when you've got an entire earth that's depressed and scared and worried, it creates a frequency that really draws us down. We only can look up at that point. And I haven't been doing that enough. There's a good chance you probably haven't either, because this thing is very consuming. You know, it's supposed to be. It's the great delusion. But be ready for this transition. It's going to sound amazing. I've said it from the beginning. The transition into Nasara is going to sound amazing. And they beat us down now to the point where there's just not much left. And what better time to say, humanity, here's your hope, right? And they have to do it because the age changed, and they have to keep up with the age. I hope I'm making sense and don't sound crazy. Just be careful what you're listening to, and just weigh everything in your spirit as to how it resonates with you as an individual, because ultimately my reality is not the same as yours, and yours is not the same as mine, and that can be said for every person in the world. We all have different realities we're living. Focus on our Creator who's guiding us through this. And focus on what resonates as true within your heart, because God will make sure you know when you need to know. God bless you guys. I don't know that I'll have another broadcast after this. I'm not sure. I don't really have any platform left. I think I've got 200 subscribers on this backup channel. And I already have 2 strikes on it. And if I said one thing wrong in this video, this channel will be gone too. And I'm not making another channel. It's pointless. This is a dead system. This whole system we're working on right now is the old system. It's dead, it's over, and new things are coming. So I think that, I don't know, I don't want to make absolutes, but you may not hear from me on here again. You may not hear from me, period, again. I'm not sure. But I've really, for the last year, I never, anybody who's followed me for any period of time knows I never had any plan for any of what happened. I never had any plan for 25 million people to be on my website or having 60,000 YouTube subscribers or whatever it was when it went down, or, 4,000 Twitter followers. And I never had any plan. All I wanted to do was talk about what I thought might be true way back when COVID first started. And talking about what might be true got me plugged into a lot of things that I didn't expect. And here we sit now. I love you guys. I really do. The handful of you who have followed me. That sounds so funny. I'm sorry. I get emotional. I'm nobody to follow. I'm not. I'm not anybody to follow. But I have a heart for people. And I just wanted mostly to help one person out through all of this, to understand what was happening or might be happening and why. And I've been personally through so many ridiculous battles, not only in the last year, but in the last 5 or 6 years. And I explained that in the video that BitChute wouldn't let me upload, that I may still upload, but the stuff that's happened to me would blow your mind in the last 5 or 6 years of my life, and really all of it. But I think we just need to focus right now inwardly and upwardly to God and to truth and to what we know. We need to stand strongly on what we know is true, because they're going to try to rip truth away from us. We can't allow that to happen. Have a good night, guys. Just be ready. Just be ready. Be prepared. Maybe have a decent amount of cash on hand, for a week or so if you can. Maybe 2 weeks, in case there's a quote-unquote bank holiday unexpectedly coming up. You can't get to your money. You might want to have some cash on hand between now and the 20th. And stay in prayer and find people you trust and hold tight to them. God bless.